Today's charges demonstrate that we will partner with law enforcement agencies across the government to protect our technology supply chain from infiltration and compromise by foreign adversaries and those who would trade our national security for personal profit. Thank you. I will now turn the podium over to Assistant Director in Charge, Bill Sweeney of the FBI.
Thanks, Rich. Good morning, everybody. We allege that Jack and Francis Cabasso, along with their co-conspirators, risked the security of the United States by selling tens of millions of dollars of prohibited surveillance equipment and other products to U.S. government agencies and private sector customers, with the majority of that money going to PRC-based manufacturing companies barred by law from having these contracts in the first place. They did it all for one reason and one reason only: to make money. Over the course of the past decade, their company, Aventura Technologies, made upwards of $80 million, including approximately $36 million in federal government contracts. Do not let the fraud and money laundering charges distract you from the real threat created by their conduct. It is outrageous. There should be no question in the mind of any American as to the absurdity of doing business, as we allege today, with a PRC-based manufacturer of video surveillance technology with known cybersecurity vulnerabilities. Falsely representing products as made in the USA is dangerous business when American servicemen and women around the globe, among others, are dependent upon the security of the technology supporting and surrounding them. Aventura's clients were deliberately deceived by the fake Made in the USA labels, which were added to the Chinese manufactured products, representing the products as manufactured here in this country. In reality, the only thing made in the United States were the lies Aventura sold to its victims. If there are any other vendors out there who are considering cutting corners like the Cabassos, today's announcement should serve as a warning to you. Your decisions have broader implications beyond your company's bottom line, and inappropriate decisions you make will likely result in similar consequences. Many thanks, Rich, to you and your team. Your work was outstanding. Thanks to all the agencies that are represented by the leadership here today. I personally wanted to note CBP, Troy, and Frank, and your team. The diligence exhibited initially by your personnel in calling this problem to our attention is outstanding and really got the ball rolling. And to the agents, the special agents, the analysts, linguists, and even the college interns that worked on this case, job well done. You have the security of your country first and foremost at the top of your mind. You did a great job. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Joseph DeToria. I am the Special Agent in Charge with the U.S. General Services Administration, Office of Inspector General, New York Field Office. The General Services Administration provides systems and programs to help federal government agencies to purchase the goods and services they need to serve the American public. This investigation was initiated by the Office of Inspector General in 2017 as a result of a complaint submitted to GSA OIG's hotline that Aventura Technologies Inc. was lying to the government, claiming products sold to the U.S. government were made in America when in fact they were actually manufactured in China. Our joint investigation not only established probable cause to substantiate these allegations, but uncovered other potential criminal schemes involving the subjects arrested today. It is vital GSA's acquisition systems and programs have integrity and be free from manipulation and corruption. GSA contractors must be honest and forthcoming when doing business with the U.S. federal government. Today's allegations are not about technical errors in a database or on a form, nor are they about an administrative violation. This investigation is about corrupt behavior, a conspiracy to intentionally break the law and deceive the government in order to improperly obtain and illegally profit from federal government contracts. The GSA Office of Inspector General, with our law enforcement partners and the United States Attorney's Office, will continue to investigate fraud, corruption, and other financial crimes impacting GSA, with particular emphasis on products that endanger the safety and welfare of the government employees or compromise government infrastructure and systems. We encourage anyone with knowledge of wrongdoing involving a government contract or government contractor to report such to GSA's Office of Inspector General for investigation. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. My name is Troy Miller. I'm the Director of Field Operations for Customs and Border Protection here in New York. U.S. Customs and Border Protection takes great pride in working with our federal, state, and local enforcement partners and industry stakeholders to fight cross-border trade and dangerous and illicit goods. This case serves as a great example of collaborative law enforcement efforts to uncover, dismantle criminal enterprises that seek to defraud the United States government for personal gain while jeopardizing our national defense and causing economic harm to their competitors. Based on a request from the Inspector General of the General Services Administration, CBP initiated a focus operation. CBP tracked more than 500 shipments that Aventura imported into the United States from China between May 2017 and today. CBP, along with our partners, determined that Aventura imported many fully assembled and finished products. Aventura's imported goods did not bear country of origin markings when they arrived at JFK, John F. Kennedy Airport, and many items arrived pre-assembled with Aventura's logo and American flags. United States law requires that all imported goods, with few exceptions, must be marked with the country of origin at the time of import. This is a perfect example of how law enforcement comes together to bring these individuals to justice. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is William Kalb. I'm the Special Agent in charge of the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration's Northeast Field Division. The TIGTA Office of Investigations is charged with the detection, investigation, and prevention of fraud, waste, and abuse within the Internal Revenue Service and Internal Revenue Service programs, including the federal contract and procurement process. Today's arrests represent the culmination of years of complex and multifaceted investigative efforts requiring coordination by federal law enforcement officers and prosecutors from over 10 U.S. government agencies. These defendants fraudulently line their pockets with millions of dollars in taxpayer funds while potentially placing the security of the United States in jeopardy. The defendants knowingly made false statements to secure U.S. government contracts worth millions of dollars. The defendants then took affirmative steps to secure the goods and products from outside of the United States while purporting and creating the illusion that these products were all made in America. The TIGTA Office of Investigations is committed to working independently and with our law enforcement partners to root out this type of fraud from the government contracting and procurement process. I want to thank U.S. Attorney Donoghue for his steadfast support and that of his talented prosecutors that they all gave to this investigation, and to our law enforcement partners as well. Thank you all.
Good morning. My name is John Pesnicek. I'm the Acting Special Agent in Charge, IRS Criminal Investigation, New York Field Office. This morning, 34 IRS special agents, along with our partners, participated in arrest warrants, search warrants, interviews, and seizure warrants. In today's global economy, individuals, businesses, and government alike take pride and comfort in purchasing products marked Made in America. But defendants like the ones charged today threaten that trust. We put this valued label and furthermore risk of our country's national security. What is most shocking about this crime in an era when we are so focused on U.S. manufacturing and ongoing trade talks are focused on protecting our national security, that there would be so many co-conspirators who would knowingly defraud the United States government and put American lives at risk for personal enrichment. While 70% of IRS criminal investigation are tax-related charges, the investigators early on realized that money laundering related to the siphoning of illicit proceeds through shell companies and attorneys was the most appropriate and most impactful charges. As a representative of IRS criminal investigation, I am often asked why IRS would be involved in a national security investigation like this one or similar type case. IRS agents investigate significant and complex cases where any economic gain or pure greed are the motivation of the underlying crime. Today's charges send a clear message. IRS criminal investigation and its law enforcement partners work tirelessly to expose con artists devising elaborate schemes that exploit our financial system for their personal gain. We are proud to be standing here today with our law enforcement partners, and we thank all of them for the work that they did in the Aventura investigation. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Leo Lamont. I'm the Special Agent in charge of the Naval Criminal Investigative Service Northeast Field Office. Product substitution is not a victimless crime. It is a serious offense that puts our brave men and women in uniform at risk. These service members are putting their lives on the line every day, and they need to have confidence in their weapon systems and equipment they are issued, and it will not fail them at the worst possible moment. Our sailors, Marines, and other armed service personnel deserve to have the equipment that meets the highest standards in safety and performance. Counterfeit and substandard parts and components simply cannot be depended upon. American taxpayers are also victims. The flagrant and wrongful misuse of taxpayers' dollars erodes the public trust and jeopardizes the Department of Navy's efforts to obtain the best technology and equipment for our sailors and Marines. Investigating product substitution and mitigating risks to the Department of the Navy supply chain is a top priority for the Naval Criminal Investigative Service. NCIS will continue to aggressively seek out and combat fraud in all forms that impact the Department of Navy. Thank you.
Well, there were a couple different ways that this was brought to the attention of the investigators, but you're right, there is an explanation in the complaint, and I'll stick to the four corners of the complaint, but essentially there it says that one of the members of an Air Force security unit noticed that there was an image in the software that related to a Chinese security service. And so obviously that raised some questions. Why would there be an image of a badge of a Chinese security service uploaded into the software of an American camera? And that led to the inspection of the camera, and the inspection revealed, as inspections throughout the course of the investigation revealed, that that equipment was actually manufactured in China and that the software was from China. Sure.
If you can explain, if you just take the next step, what was sold here and how might this have put service members and the security of the country in jeopardy?
Again, I'd have you take a look at the complaint, which lays it out in more detail, but essentially what you're talking about are network surveillance systems. So you're not just talking about a standalone camera that was manufactured in China. You're talking about surveillance systems and other electronic equipment that you put in your installation and you use in your installation to take note of what is going on and to record what is going on. So obviously when you have Chinese-made cameras with PRC software loaded into them, networked into sensitive installations such as Army bases, Navy bases, DOE facilities, and even American aircraft carriers, that causes a grave concern for our national security.
Is there any indication that the Chinese government was in fact able to cull sensitive information as a result of their access?
I'm not going to go beyond what's in the complaint, but you'll see in the complaint it does set forth, and as we said this morning, that there were known cybersecurity risks here, meaning that this software that was then deployed into U.S. systems was known to have vulnerabilities that would allow others to access those networks. And had we known that this was Chinese software, we may have been able to take steps to patch it and address that risk, but because this was masked and we did not know it was Chinese software, in many instances those steps were not taken.
Is this stuff still currently installed in Navy bases and government agencies?
We are in the process of working with our partners to make sure that it is all removed and remediated. I can't say exactly where we are in that process right now.
I'm not sure if it's alleged or not. I haven't made it fully through, but was this deliberate? I mean, were the Chinese in on this to the extent that they wanted this material where it was found?
You will see in the complaint that there's some very explicit conversations in email and otherwise between Jack Cabasso and individuals in the PRC who are supplying this equipment, where he's making it very clear that the origin must be masked. So there have to be modifications made to the software, because if trained specialists look at the software, they can see where it comes from. So he makes requests to to have that information, that identifying information removed, similar to the way they mismarked the hardware itself.
What, were the Chinese trying to spy here through this material?
Again, I won't go past the complaint, but you can see that individuals in China were well aware where this was going, and that the end user should not be in a position to learn the origin of the equipment. Jonathan.
You say aircraft carriers among them. Were any ships or any significant military equipment taken out of service or impacted at a cost or as a result of this?
Yeah, I don't want to go beyond what's in the complaint. We do not specify the impact on naval or military operations. I will say, obviously, we had to go in there and remove this equipment. So there was an impact on operations. I certainly wouldn't go so far as to say ships were taken out of service or anything like that.
Mr. Donoghue, could you tell us when this was discovered and retroactively then you had to go back and all these U.S. contractors, you had to go back and check and see if this material was installed? When did that happen?
You know, the investigation has taken a number of months. I think the complaint might give you a better understanding. I believe it was CBP who first recognized the scope, the scale, and the nature of the problem, and then brought in a larger team to address it. But it had been underway for quite some time. It's a 13-year scheme, right? And so obviously we were deep into it before anyone in the U.S. government had any inkling that there was something wrong here. And that required us to go back. And then for some certain short period of time, we also had to let shipments go through. So for instance, the shipment on the board that I showed you previously was a shipment that came through JFK that was intercepted, opened, marked in ways that the recipients would not be able to recognize, and then allowed to proceed so that we could then see them ultimately delivered to the end users in U.S. facilities and confirm that, in fact, those were the pieces of equipment that Aventura brought from China. There's nothing in the complaint about that, and we don't have any information about that today, but I just think it is interesting to show the brazenness of the scheme, that he is accusing others of using the equipment that he himself is submitting to the U.S. government.
A follow-up question on that. Are you confident now that the compromise or any problems with the cybersecurity concerns are alleviated or have been addressed as a result of this case?
We executed a search warrant this morning at Aventura. We already have a lot of their business records, but we're certainly going to be going through those to make sure that we are aware of any shipments that they have brought to the U.S. and run those down and remove or remediate.
Mr. Donoghue, is there any connection between the allegations here and any activity on behalf of the Chinese government itself?
There are no allegations in the complaint about the Chinese government itself, and we're not making any today. Obviously, it's a grave concern to the United States that infrastructure is compromised by hardware and software made in the People's Republic of China. All right, maybe one more question?
Did Aventura actually produce anything, or did they just repackage surveillance equipment for China?
As far as we can tell at this point, Aventura simply ordered it from the PRC, they relabeled it, repackaged it, and sent it off to U.S. government and private customers. All right, again, thank you all for being here today. If you have any further questions, please direct them to John Marzulli and we'll get you an answer. Thank you, and once again, thank you to the Assistant United States Attorneys and our great partners who made this case.